Yeah, tough night there in San Marcos this past Saturday. I had a chance to come back and watch the film, and it's been 48 hours of reminiscing on the game, and didn't do a lot of good things right. Again, we couldn't run the football. We were 38% on third down on offense, and we couldn't get the field on defense, and they were 60% on third down. So tough loss. We got a couple of days here to kind of regroup and really focus on ourselves, and it couldn't come at a better timing.
Thank you, Coach. As a reminder to our members of the media, if you have a question, please feel free to use the hand icon in the reactions. We'll start off with Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, could you talk about the resiliency of your team? There have been several times when you've been down and your team just really never quit, some big fourth quarter comebacks, those kinds of things.
Well, I wish we weren't in those situations, but that's part of our program. Again, we're not going to stop playing. We're going to play for the full 60 minutes, or however long it takes. But disappointing loss, the outcome of the game. But our kids fought to the very end, and that's something I'll never question about our team. Is the way we fight.
You know, and talking about resiliency, Georgia State, your next opponent, is the last couple of seasons has started off slow to the year and then come back really strong in conference play. You know, what have you seen from them on film, and what are you going to have to do well?
Well, I know Shawn personally, played with him here at App in the mid-90s, and they play like he played, to his personality. And Shawn's a really good football coach, a really good friend, and you can see that his team plays like he played. And he plays with when he played with great effort. He wasn't very good as a football player, but his team is really good. And but again, they have a tough schedule opening up like we did, and he has done an excellent job over the time and his program of building the program the way he wants it.
And what are maybe some of those things you hope to focus on and work on between now and your next game?
Yeah, we have to focus on App State, and that really comes down to how can we improve in critical situations. And we have to find some way to run the football. We have to find some way to convert on third downs, and on defense, we have to improve on tackling. We didn't tackle very well at all on Saturday, and we couldn't get the field on third down. So we have to improve. And really, this next 2 days is we don't have an open week this year. So these next 3 days here are going to be about us and how do we improve and get ready for a very good Georgia State football team.
We'll go to Sam.
Coach Clark, you've obviously had some great crowds at Kid Brewer Stadium this season. I believe you guys sold out a Wednesday game last year. So how do you look forward to the crowd on Wednesday night, and obviously having a national broadcast next week with that game as well?
Well, I haven't heard from administration about the numbers yet, but I expect a very good crowd for a passionate fan base. And we have to do our job as a program to put a better product on the field for them to show up. So we hope they come out. I think they will. And they've been very supportive throughout the year. So again, we sold out last year on a Wednesday, so hopefully we'll sell out this year on a Wednesday.
We were pretty thankful to get out of Monroe there with the win. That was a hard-fought victory for us, almost a tale of two halves. I thought Monroe did a great job there, and offensive defenses, and really putting us and stretching us for us to try to find a way to win the game there. We were fortunate enough to get some big stops in the fourth quarter, and then one big drive there at the end to win the game. Thought from a special team standpoint, it was the worst game we played. Our kicking was pretty bad during the game and put us in some adverse situations, but our defense did a good job of overcoming that in the second half. And a lot of things we got to clean up from that week. We had a lot of penalties and some things that hurt us in the game, but found a way to get to 3-0 in the league, which was our goal. And homecoming, got a really quality opponent coming in that's playing extremely well, and coming off a bye week, so they're going to be rested and probably get some guys back that have been banged up. So we'll have to play very, very well this week to try to get a win.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start off with Alan Blondin. Please go ahead, Alan.
Hey, Coach. You've discussed the importance that CJ Beasley's had to the team this year. Can you tell me, what qualities made him, put him fourth on the depth chart, and what has he shown you in games that you may not have seen and didn't know that he was capable of?
Well, one, we had some good players in front of him, obviously. And then they, obviously when you get injured, you sort of move up. But the thing that I give him credit for is we told him there was going to be a role for him this year. We wanted him to put some weight on and be a physical guy for us up front in the box and do some things. He was 190 something pounds when we challenged him. He's over 200, he's almost 205 now. And so he took to heart what we wanted him to be and the role that he had, and he put a lot of work into that, and never knew there was competition in front of him, but never ever thought about, hey, am I going to get my shot? He just kept working. I thought his character of who he was really showed through as far as just the work ethic he put in, especially through the summer. And when guys went down, and he just kept rising to the occasion. And now, whenever if anybody comes back, they've got to try to beat him out. And I think that says a lot about him and what he was able to do with the opportunity that he was given.
All right, thank you, Alan. We'll go to Shawn.
Coach, your third consecutive 6-0 start, and a lot of schools can have great years or great teams, but you've really built a great program. Can you speak to the consistency over time of your program and how important that is?
Well, that's the number one thing that we're trying to do. The mindset that our staff takes is this is the last job we'll ever have, and you want to make sure that you plant roots, you build a great foundation, that you're not just a one-hit wonder or a flash in the pan. You want to be something that every year is consistently has a chance to obviously go to bowl games and win this conference. And if you're putting yourself in that position, then you got a good program. And so every decision that we make is geared toward what's best for this team in the long term, not right now, or what's best for just this team. We try to everything that we do is all about the program. And you want to make sure that you leave, or you find a job that you have, that you do the very best of it, where somebody didn't say you took advantage of the opportunity. And I wanted to make sure that our staff built this thing to last. And that mean we're going to be 6-0 every year and win them all. But I want our team and our players and the coaches to understand that we're here every year to go out and try to win this conference. And that's what the goal is, and not a one-time wonder.
You had Grayson McCall reach 1,000 career rushing yards last time out. He's obviously known as a great passer, but what does his versatility do for you and your team, and give you another dimension to your offense?
Well, I think where he really helps, obviously he can run some of our option things, and he does a good job of that. But when the pocket breaks down, he can really make some plays with his feet, whether it is rushing, whether it is finding another open receiver. He might not be the fastest guy, but he's pretty nifty in the pocket, and he can find a way to get through there and make some positive plays for us. And we've obviously not ran him as much this year as we have in the past, but his ability to be able to hurt you with your legs makes him. I think that's why he's been the player of the year for 2 years in a row, because we all know he can throw the ball, but when it breaks down, he can still make it happen and help us move the ball forward.
Go to Sam.
Hey, Coach, you talked a little bit about Beasley having some guys in front of him and having to step up and, fight his way through the depth chart. Can you talk a little bit, too, about Jared Brown, a guy who's had 3 really strong games to kick off conference play for you?
Yeah, Jared's somebody that we were excited about coming into the season. He redshirted last year. Obviously had some guys in front of him, but he was somebody during practice that did some good things, had a solid spring, and really had a good summer. The thing with him, we just didn't know, being young, we didn't know how he would react. This was really, he played 1 game last year against Monroe, actually, and that was the only game he got in. And then, so we didn't know how to react to certain games and some of those things. And Jared wants to do well. And so the first game against Army, he dropped a couple passes, just trying to be perfect. Gardner Webb, he got sick at halftime. And so he was basically sick during the Buffalo game. And the last 3 games, he's really gotten to where that he's been consistent, been able to practice each and every week was the last 3 games. And I think that's why you've seen him really take off. He has got a lot of ability, probably the most ability we've had as far as just from a straight ability from a wide receiver in my time here. He's electric, can do a lot of things with the ball in his hands, but he's very unselfish as well, which is good, a good attribute to have. We're excited about him continuing to grow. He's still learning. Obviously, he sees something new each week. He's still learning, but he's dangerous when that ball's in his hands. We got to get it to him more.
And then you look forward to the ODU game this weekend, Coach. They've got a couple of national leaders on the team, Ollie Jennings and Jason Henderson on the defensive side of the ball. What do you guys have to do to, succeed in both phases of the game?
Well, they play great defense. I'm very impressed with their defense and how hard they play and the things they do. They're really good in a lot of areas. They got some really good players there, and they're the best defense through these 6 games that we've seen, no doubt. I mean, the way they play, and then offensively, obviously they got some players that can hurt you as well. And so for us, what we're going to have to do is we've got to value some of the possessions a little bit better offensively and make sure we turn some more of those into points. And then defensively, it's going to come down to we can't give them any easy stuff. We got to make them earn it. We can't give up big plays. I think it's going to come down to big plays and then third down. We've not been great on third down on defense, and we've got to get better there because that allows other teams to extend drives or score touchdowns. And so that's going to be the keys of the game. If we've got a chance to come out with a win.
Yeah, good road win against a much improved Arkansas State team. I thought our physicality sort of wore on them as the game went on. Both lines played extremely well. Defensively held them to 20 yards rushing, and offense had about 600 yards. Total offense had a number of really outstanding individual performances, but great team win. And focused in now on another very, very difficult challenge this week on the road again against a Georgia Southern team that obviously beat Nebraska at Nebraska. Been on the road for the last 5 weeks, so they're returning home. High octane, explosive offense with a number of playmakers. A defense that gives you multiple looks and packages. That'll be a challenge, and they've got good specialists, so we're gonna have to have a great week.
All right, we'll start with Noah.
Hey, good morning, Coach. What was your reaction to yesterday's news of getting inside the top 25?
I think that is great publicity for the university, our program, athletic department, our boosters, the people that care so much about James Madison, followed him through the years. We broke through sort of another barrier, took another step. It's not a final destination, and obviously doesn't affect anything that's going to go on between the lines. And our guys understand that too. The last week's statement, what you do on Saturday is this week's news, and whatever statement is put out there next Saturday is going to be next week's news. So, we've got a real difficult challenge against Georgia Southern, and we got to be focused, have a great week of prep, keep the standards high, and be ready to go Saturday.
Thank you.
We'll go to Perry.
Hi, Coach. What would you say? We've talked about the process and, really how process oriented you have been throughout the season. What is the next step for you? Because obviously the big news of yesterday, but what next?
To have a great day today, have a great meeting at 5:00 and a great walkthrough tonight in preparation for our opponent. And, that's kind of the next step for us right now as a staff. We're game planning, grinding. We got back from Arkansas State at 3:30 in the morning. We're in here pretty early on Sunday, but it's that time of year. That's what you got to do. So everybody's got to keep the standards high and focus, be where your feet are, and so we can have the best day today as possible.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to Wayne.
Hey, Coach, good morning. I know NCAA committee will visit the university later this month as you guys, sort of put in your waiver to shorten the FBS transition process and try to become bowl eligible next month. So what do you expect your role to be in that? And just how do you feel that may go, obviously, with the resume you guys have put together with the starts of the season you've had?
I'm really not sure what the definite timeline of that is. I know that's going to take place. It's really not my focus, or the team's focus right now. That'll play out and we'll find out what happens. My focus right now is Georgia Southern.
Then I want to ask as well about Josh Surratt. What else stood out most to you about him? Obviously giving him more of an opportunity to return punts this year. I know it's something he had done at VMI, done in high school. And what has impressed you the most with the way he's played in that role?
Well, he's starting at boundary safety for us. He's a real heady player. He's a very good communicator. He prepares really well. He's got good hands as a punt returner. He's done a pretty nice job on his returns. There's a few that we've got a field that we haven't fielded where we've lost some yardage on some bounces, and we'll work on that this week. We can do a better job of positioning him, but he's a very dependable guy, and very popular with with his teammates.
Thank you.
Let's go to Shane.
Yeah, Curt. It seems like for a few weeks there, teams were kind of selling out to try to limit what Chris Thornton could do yardage wise. And then Saturday he had like over 100 yards after the catch, had some carries and stuff. Was that a reflection of you guys coming up with new ways to try to get him the ball and get him involved?
Well, every week's a different week and every scheme is different. But, I think as we develop other weapons in the offense, our run game was going well. The tight ends were involved. And I think we really put stress on their defense. And he had some nice one-on-one opportunities. He caught a bubble, went a long way, caught some digs, some deep ones. So they weren't quite as keyed in on him, maybe like App was. But, I think part of that is because we've got a lot of weapons. And when we're running the ball well, it's really hard to focus in on one thing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. And we'll conclude here with Maddie. Maddie, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. So when you think about the traveling aspect of things, how do you as a head coach kind of help the mental wherewithal of your players to handle like longer flights and other elements of travel that, this team might not be used to in previous years?
Well, we've got a routine and we just stay with our routine. Like the flight to Memphis was less than 2 hours and the flight back was an hour and 10 minutes. Flight this week will be short too. So we like to meet as late as possible on Fridays with the players so they don't miss class, get to the hotel as late as possible, have our dinner, watch a game on TV, go to sleep, and then we've got our Saturday routine. That really hasn't changed much through the years.
Yeah, just kind of looking back at Saturday, a great team win. It was a great crowd. It was just a great opportunity for our community, our university, our program to put together a complete win, versus a quality opponent in App State. Very proud of the team. The guys, they responded after, really a poor performance versus James Madison. I think they're eager to get back out there in front of a home crowd, one of the largest home crowds that we've had in our school history. And we played complementary football. We've talked about execution all the time. We've talked about, Matt, our mistakes are magnified and trying to minimize the damage. And I thought we finally played efficient football, clean football, and complementary football. And, the first half was, we ended up getting into a pretty good lead in the first half, which allowed us to kind of change our kind of thought process in the second half. Thought, App State had to go to more of a 2-minute drill in the second half, which they threw it 53 times in the second half. And we ended up doing more of a ball control type of offense in that second half as well with our 4-minute. But, really proud of the response of the kids. We needed to get that win. I think, it kind of shows us what we're capable of doing if we play clean football and play with the effort and the fight that we typically play with. But, we enjoyed it for a night and, we got right back at it because we got a quality Troy team that we're going on the road to play. We've been 0-3 on the road, which we're looking forward to this great opportunity and trying to kind of change the narrative of being undefeated at home and 0-3 and on the road. So it's something that we need to try to fix and looking for the challenge. And we know every single week in the Sun Belt, you got to strap it up and you got to bring your best performance. So looking forward to the challenge. So questions.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start with Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, obviously all wins are important, but was there something more significant about beating an App State team, getting off to your best start in like 8 years? Is there added significance for you, your players, and the fans as well?
Yeah, I think it's created some excitement. It's created some energy. Our kids have worked very hard to get to this point, and they've got a lot of confidence in themselves. We've had a kind of a roller coaster of a season so far with ups and downs, but this game was kind of a complete team game, and it kind of shows us what we're capable of doing. And I think the community, we had family night, just family weekend. So it was a really great crowd, and just with the energy, it's the first time I've truly felt the crowd So, overall, it was just a great, night for our program and our university. And it definitely, builds us some more confidence going into the rest of this Sun Belt schedule. But, a win's a win like you're talking about. But, that one was a very important one for us because, we needed some confidence and some momentum going into the second half of our season.
Speaking of momentum, really a major moment in the game for you was Troy's interception and touchdown. Can you kind of talk about both what kind of the play meant for the momentum of the game and also what Troy has meant to your team?
Yeah, you talking about Torrey? Well, it's been to it.
Yes, sorry.
No, yeah. Yeah, so that play was that was kind of monumental and like where it was at. It was 24-3. They got the ball coming out of the half, and they had a very long drive, a very methodical drive all the way down to our 4-yard line. I believe it was a 96-yard interception for a touchdown, which really changed our whole thought process in the entire second half. Because you can't ever, let your foot off the gas, especially versus an App State team. So it was more of the attacking mentality that we wanted. But that interception put it up to 30-3, and that was something that we talked about where we needed the ball control and try to eliminate their timeouts and try to minimize the possessions as much as possible. And Torrey had a phenomenal game. He had 12 tackles. He was our player of the game. And that play right there, I truly thought was the one that, kind of, put it toward to, a 3-possession game. And we kind of kept it that way the second half, which is always good for us, because we, how the Sun Belt is. Anybody can come back at any time. And it just was really pleased that, we got that big play and allowed us to kind of change our mindset and manage the game correctly in the second half.
You will go to Sam.
Coach, you talked a little bit about the significance of the win over App State this week, but looking forward to next week, how do you kind of turn around and use that as momentum going into next week against a Troy team? I think you haven't beat them since late 90s. So how do you kind of use that as fuel for the fire for this coming week?
Yeah, it's it's something that you're learning every single week that, we never beat a App State in our program history. I think we beat Troy only one time. I don't think we've ever beaten Louisiana Lafayette. These are all just kind of milestone games for our university, but our guys are so focused on just, trying to figure it out. We know that, the ups and downs that we had a lot of constructive, talks throughout the course of the week. I thought our leadership group, we had a lot of player driven meetings and, they really called each other out. They kind of, worked on elevating each other's play and bringing each other along. And I thought they got a lot of confidence because, all the work that they put in throughout the week, and just the discussions they had actually, came into fruition and throughout the course of the game. So that does give us a lot of confidence going into this next week. But we know that we still are a work in progress and we still got to take it one day at a time. I'm challenging them to still have the same intensity and focus that they had last week, especially coming off the James Madison loss. But it's very important for us to keep bringing it every single week and every single day. But because, I think Troy is a very quality team right now. And I think they're one of the hotter teams in our league. They're playing at a high level with, great defense, and they make you play team football. And we have to play it like we did versus App to be able to compete with these guys.
Yeah, another fourth quarter game that back-to-back weeks with Coastal or Georgia State. Thought Georgia State played a really good game. Credit to Coach Elliott and his staff. Did a nice job within their run game, and we had too many self-inflicted errors. Anytime you turn the ball over 5 times in one game, it's going to be really hard to win in this league. Credit to our kids. I thought they put themselves in a position to make it a one-score game in the fourth quarter, had the ball twice with the ability to tie the game and just didn't get it done. They made more plays than us down the stretch. Basically 5 of these games now, 2 of them back to back. We hopefully will be on the better side like Nebraska and Ball State than we were the last 2 weeks between Coastal and Georgia State. Got a great opportunity this week. Top 25 team coming in with James Madison, who's playing great football. It's good to be back at home at Paulson and looking forward to the opportunity. With that, I'll take any questions that you have.
Thank you. We'll turn it over to Noah. Noah, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, does Jamey's start to the year surprise you at all?
No, it really doesn't. You knew the quality of team that was coming into the league, and credit again to Commissioner Gill as well as all presidents for the quality of teams that they brought into the Sun Belt. You were looking at a very veteran, experienced, extremely well coached organization, and they've done the things to separate away from teams. So they have a tremendous run game, and they play tremendous defense. One of the top defenses in the country, especially run defense wise. They play really sound football. They don't beat themselves. And you look up and it's no surprise that they're undefeated and a top 25 team. Credit to Coach Cignetti and his staff for what they're accomplishing right now.
And then what sticks out to you about their defense when you kind of look at it on film, just being one of the top defenses in the country?
Yeah, they keep you off balance. They really do. Their pressure schemes, whether it comes from the boundary, whether it comes from the field, whether it's interior, being able to mix up coverages, primarily fire zone coverages can upset a quarterback. And they have tremendous pass rushers. The front four is one of the best that we're going to face maybe all year. They can get to you with four-man rush, or they'll bring the fifth additional player, make it really hard. You got to get the ball out quick, and you can't hold on to it, and you better get open fast because they're getting to that quarterback pretty dang quickly.
Thank you, Noah. We'll go to Shawn.
Coach, I think you've had something like 10 or more guys make their first starts for you this year. How have you seen the growth of those young guys since you got here to now?
Yeah, proud of the development of our team. I mean, we're getting closer, and that was a message to the team. They're a better team than they were last year, and they continue to get better each and every week. And a lot of that has to do with the development of our young kids. I look at Mark Stampley, who as a true freshman made two huge plays in that game last week. One with a big interception, and then our fake punt that he finds the first down for us. And there's more across the board. As those young players develop, there'll be some growing pains that come with it. We knew that going in, but as they develop, we'll become a stronger football team, and hopefully we'll play in our best football as November gets here.
And along with the game this weekend, you have your family weekend for your program. What does that mean to you and your players to be able to celebrate the families that are part of your football program?
Yeah, Georgia Southern has such a rich tradition, and this isn't a 4-year experience when you come to Georgia Southern. This is a lifetime experience, and the relationships that you have here, run across the board, and to be able to see the 2 home games that we've had, how the fans, the alumni show up. Now you have a family weekend of everybody coming back against a top 25 team. That's what college football is all about. So we look forward to the passion of a great Saturday here in Statesboro.
Your team has been really tested by some strong teams on the schedule to this point. When you have a team that's made up of a lot of young guys, how do those experiences against tough teams really help prepare you for the rest of the season?
Yeah, definitely. We knew that going into this, we were going to face 9 out of 12 teams. We're bowl teams from last year. We knew it was a strong schedule, and we knew we had an opportunity to put a great resume together. The fact of the matter is, we sit here at the halfway point. We're 3-3 with a team that we feel is getting better each and every week, and got a chance to make a really strong finish down the stretch. And hopefully, we're able. A really strong James Madison club comes into Paulson.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Really competitive game last week against Southern Miss. They're a really well coached, good football team, much improved group from last year. Good to see us get the home win. Really good football game defensively, back and forth, and got another good challenge this week. This league is so improved from last year, in my opinion, because like Texas State, who as Jake's really brought that program a long way from when he got there, just beat Abbott there at home in a very convincing fashion. So there's no, I mean, every week this season, the schedule is challenging. So a lot of great challenge last week. Another good challenge this week. Excited about the opportunity, and we're full speed ahead. So questions?
Thank you, Coach. All right, we'll start off with Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, wondering how special it was for you to honor the 87 national championship team last week, and the impact on your current guys to see and maybe interact with some of those players.
Yeah, it was neat. I mean, Troy's had two Division II national championships and one NAI national title, several conference championships. So great to honor that 87 team. A lot of really great people that are still very involved with Troy University and our program on that team. So good to see those guys here. 87 team was honored. The 07 conference championship team was also honored this past weekend. And then we also had the really cool opportunity to name our offensive line room after Jon Sumrall, former O-line coach here, who I worked with at Kentucky. And then John actually coached me, and I've worked with him a couple different times. But so we had a lot going on last week with those opportunities to recognize special people and special teams. I had to make sure to remind our guys we're still playing a football game. None of that stuff really matters if you don't win the game. But great opportunity for our guys. And we gave our guys a little historical lesson on that 87 team too, because we wore the helmet with the logo that they wore.
Texas State, as you mentioned, coming off a big win against App State. What have you seen from them on film, and what will your team need to do well in order to be successful?
Most disruptive defensive line we've played to date. And it's the kid number 54, they got Levi Bell. I got a ton of respect for the way he plays the game. They're physical on defense. They're athletic and talented on offense. Watching this team play, I'm very impressed. We've got our work cut out for us.
4 turnovers forced by your team on Saturday. Can you speak to your defense and, their ability to provide you some extra possessions on offense and some momentum as well?
Yeah, I didn't like how much we turned the ball over. Very disappointed there, but I did think our defense responded at some critical situations, create some takeaways. That was one of our keys to winning the game that we discussed early in the week, is winning the turnover margin. And both sides defensively created them, us and Southern Miss, but we were able to capitalize and score on 2 of ours, which were critical to the outcome of the game. So, you win the turnover margin so far in college football this season, you win 74.3% of your games. If I told you did something every time and 3/4 of the time it'd make you successful, you'd probably do it.
And we got a question. We got a question in the chat from Clint Shields. What areas do you see the most improvement out of this Texas State team versus seasons past?
Yeah, like I said, defensively, man, they're much improved. They're physical, and I'm not just saying it. This 54, he's a game wrecker. He's a guy that the way he plays the game, I don't know. We're at to block him with the whole line, man. He's good. He affects the game every play. Offensively, I think they're doing good things. Jake's always been really good calling the game offensively. And so they're just good, man. I watch them on tape and I see a really good football team.
Yeah, not a whole lot to talk about right now. Coming off of kind of this bye week right here, just getting ready, for a great opportunity to go up to Marshall and play a really good football team there. So, working hard to get this thing back on track, and, looking forward to getting up there and go and play on Wednesday night.
Appreciate it, Coach. We'll start off with Justin Zimmer.
Hi, Coach. Justin Zimmer, Huntington. You played Marshall last year in the bowl game in New Orleans. What's the biggest difference that you've seen from last year's team that you prepared for and the one you're going to see on Wednesday night?
Well, defensively, not a whole lot of difference. Defensively, they're really good on defense. Really good up front. They've got everybody back at linebacker, everybody back on the back end, and added a couple on the front. They did lose a couple interior guys, but they're a really good defensive football team. Offensively, they lost some players. It's kind of similar to us a little bit, I'd say. Lost quite a few on offense, and you're trying to kind of figure out putting those pieces together, trying to figure out the best way to go out there and get your offense going. And, watching them, you can see they've played really good on offense in some games, and then they've had some where they've kind of struggled a little bit to find an identity. So They're committed to running the football. They've got a really good running back, and he's not the guy from last year. I know he's there. So I know they're trying to get him ready to go, but they've got good backs up front. They're really, really big, and they've got a new quarterback. So that takes a little bit of time to gel. But you can see, man, when they got it clicking, that they've got a good offense as well. So, I feel like I did before the bowl game, like we got our hands full. We got to go out there and go play really well to have a chance to win.
Thank you. We'll go over to Matt. Matt, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach, you talked about the bye week coming at the right time. How important was it to get these extra days off to get your guys healthy and mentally ready to play a team like Marshall?
I think it's tremendously important. We were a little bit banged up after the South Alabama game. That's always a really physical contest whenever you play those guys. So, trying to get those guys a couple extra days to be able to get back on the field is always a big deal. So, that's huge for us. Mentally, I think it's just trying to turn the page a little bit. Started out, 2-0, and then kind of from there you hit a 3-game slide. And, sometimes you got to hit reset, turn the page, kind of step back, take a deep breath and go get back on track here. So it was good for us. The timing of it, I think we got to kind of sit back and do a little bit of reflecting, kind of looking at ourselves and taking some time to work on things we need to work on to have success. But, at the end of the day, and most coaches on these conference calls will tell you, it's always more about us than it is about them, if that makes any sense. It's always more about what our team needs to do to have success and about who you play. So for us, that's kind of what it is. You go back to the basics and saying, all right, listen, we need to do these things better to have a chance to win games. And for us, the 3 losses we were in, truthfully, you felt like, you had a lot of opportunities to win those games. So we got to focus on those things that are going to help us win moving forward. But coming on a bye week, I do think it came at a good time for us. I think it was something that we needed to recharge mentally and physically. And, like I said, we're looking forward to Wednesday.
Thank you. We'll go to Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, you've been one of the top teams in terms of turnover margin. You got like 10 guys with an interception. How important has that been to your success and to your momentum as you play these games?
Well, turnovers are huge. They're huge momentum plays in the game. They typically give you short fields, and they steal possessions for you. So they're huge. The problem for us is that we've turned it over a little bit on offense the last couple of games, and that's something that we have not done a whole lot. We've protected the football. So our defense is doing a really good job. They're flying around, they're getting pressure on the quarterback. They're contesting balls. They're doing things that they've got to do. And it does give you a chance every week. Like I said, the last 3 weeks, you come out losing the football game and, you look at a handful of 2 or 3 plays and you say, well, we're right there. We just got to make some of these plays that we're not making right now in the end in the critical times. But our defense certainly has been a huge part of that. They're playing really physical. They're playing really fast. And they're getting turnovers and you have to get turnovers, to steal possession, especially whenever offensively you're not playing the way you want to play. So those things have been huge. It's something that certainly we emphasize and our defense takes pride in them. And, hopefully we can continue on that track and then on offense protect it a little bit better. And I think we'll see the outcomes that we want.
Go to Luke Creasy. Luke, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, with the news about Chandler being out this week, what are you expecting from Ben? And kind of you just talk about his experience so far this year. I know he's appeared in every game so far for you guys.
Yeah, it's the nature of it, and it's the worst part of the game, or injuries, but they happen, And so for us, with Ben and Chandler having been in competition for so long, and really it being really close throughout, the majority of that competition, I felt like for our team, it was going to be beneficial for both of those guys to get to play throughout the year in case if you did have an injury or something came up. And, Ben has played really, really well at times. And there's some games where I'm sure he wishes he'd have played a little bit better. But the experience that he's got has been really good for him. I think sometimes, knowing that, hey, listen, it's your show. You're going to go in there. It's your time to go and go do it. It's your opportunity. I think Ben's going to rise to the occasion. He prepares really well every week. He works tremendously hard to get ready for his team to go out there and give us a chance to win. And I know he's doing the same thing this week. The thing I've talked to him about is, man, it's just another week. You prepare the way you always do. Get ready to go out there, go play the game, go make the plays you're supposed to make, let the guys around you play. And let's just go out there. Let's go lay it on the line. And, you know, I feel really strongly about Ben, his leadership skills and his preparation to this point for him to be ready to go out there and go start this football game and go play really good football for us.
Yeah. So tough week for us. Played a really good Troy team on the road. It's a big defensive struggle for a long part of the game. And then thought they did a great job, you know, of preventing us from making explosive plays and, you know, forced some turnovers. I think we lost the turnover battle 4-2, which ultimately was a difference in the game. You know, for us, we've got to get better offensively. We're just not doing enough in that area to get it done. I thought we played really well defensively for most of the game. Thought we played good in the kicking game. Thought we actually won the kicking game battle. And we're just not scoring points at a good enough level in 2022 to win games. There's a lot of reasons for that, but ultimately it's on me. I run the offense and I'm the head coach. We've got to get better and we got to get better fast. So with that, we got a really tough team coming up. Arkansas State, like us, they're in their head coach's second year there. They've beaten an FCS team and also beat a really good Monroe team. And they played a tough schedule, so they're battle tested, and it'll be a tremendous challenge for us.
Thank you, Coach. I'll start off with David Eckert. David, please go ahead.
Hey, Will, how you doing?
Good.
You know, you touched on it a little bit there. I guess just 5 games in, now you have all these pieces. You have a full complement of scholarships. How do you feel? Where do you feel like you're at with the installation of the offense that you're trying to play at this point?
Yeah, we've got it in. We're just not executing it very well and not coaching it very well. We got to do a lot better.
All right, thank you, David. We'll go over to Shawn.
Coach, you've had Dominic in the top 5 in the country in sacks most of the year. You know, what has he meant to your defense and to your team overall?
I'm really proud of Dom and how he's embraced his role. You know, he plays about 15 to 20 snaps a game on defense in pass rushing situations. And he also plays in the kicking game and he accepts that role. And for older kids, sometimes that's hard because they want to play more. But, you know, almost like a sharpshooter in basketball, you know, that you line up on the wing and you rely on others to penetrate and dish it out to him and he knocks down a 3. He's creating a lot of explosive plays for us through pass rush, and he's really embraced that role. And really proud of him, proud of his unselfishness, proud of him taking on that role and making the most of it.
All right, David, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, we talked, I guess, a lot about quarterback. Will, you mentioned some other things that maybe might be influencing maybe the lack of progress on offense. What are some of those things that, you know, might be inhibiting you guys right now?
Just me, David, just poor coaching all the way around. I'm just not getting it done and I've got to do better.
All right, we'll go back over to Shawn.
You know, Coach, regional rivalries have really been an important part of the growth of the Sun Belt. And what has it meant to maybe your players and your fans that you're, you know, just going up the road and playing a Troy and you're playing Arkansas State and playing some of those really regional games in the Sun Belt West?
Yeah, I think it's great for our fans, you know, and I think they're excited about it. We had a good crew travel to Tulane, a good crew travel to Troy, and now we're playing Arkansas State, who our fans know. So I think it's going to be big and it's only going to continue to grow. And so we're excited about being in the Sun Belt. I know our fans are too.
Good afternoon. You know, coming off a nice conference win, our first conference win of the season against Georgia Southern. It was I thought, a great ball game. Very competitive. We thought at times that we had an opportunity to kind of pull away from them and credit them. They came back and fought hard, and but we were able to pull out a really good victory for our football team. And that, you know, that gets us at 2 wins in a row, and you know, spirits are a little bit better than what they have been around here. But we've got some time before the App State game coming up, a few days. So we're going to work to get some better on some, you know, some fundamental issues, some coaching things that we need to improve on, and try to enhance our football program moving forward. So, Matt, any questions?
I'll start off with Brady. Brady, please go ahead.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, man.
I wanted to start just asking about, it's a bye week this Saturday, but it's kind of a shorter bye because you play on Wednesday. How does that change just how the next week goes?
I mean, it doesn't change a whole lot. We're going to get practice Tuesday and Wednesday and start our game week next Friday or this Friday and go just like we typically do. And Friday will be on Monday and it'll be typical game week.
And I wanted to ask about, with the passing game, some of the explosiveness and just the calls that have got big plays. Do you think that's maybe where Coach McKnight's been putting his stamp on the offense in his first year offensive coordinator?
Yes. That's those throws have been there. And, the ability to call the shot when it's right to call it. He's done a nice job in dialing those things up. I think our receivers are they really enjoy that because these dial up plays are the big play, and so they go out there and they shorten the game a little bit with their blocking and their perimeter screen games, and then they have the chance to go make the huge explosive play. So yeah, Coach McKnight has certainly put a nice stamp on our offense. Moving the football is the number one most important thing. How we do it, we don't care as long as we're productive, and he's done a nice job thus far.
Brady, we'll go over to Stan.
Shawn, you look like you're dried off.
What's that?
You look wet on Saturday after the game.
So, I was wet.
That's what I'm saying. You look dried off. Just a two-parter. Where's the team made the most progress over the first part of the season, and going forward, what are the things that you think you got to do a little work on to get where you want to go?
Well, Stan, we haven't had a punt block since the first game, so that's pretty pretty good improvement right there. No, I think as a total team, I mean, those first few weeks are tough on you. You play South Carolina, you play North Carolina, and we played them what I think pretty well, and very competitive and had opportunities to go win. And I think we've had opportunities to win all of our contests. And it's the mental approach that's really kept getting strong. Some teams, and it's kind of like we were last year, some teams can't go through the disappointment and come out with a better attitude. And our team has done that. We've grown. We're a mature football team. We've got some guys that have been through this before and they know how to handle it. We're about where we thought we would be from a production standpoint, offensively and defensively. We just got to continue to do the things that we feel like as coaches and players give us the best chance to go and win. But I mean, honestly, we're starting to play better at the right time. And the last couple of weeks are very indicative of how we're going to continue to grow and develop. And then we're going to be in a good shape. But, I think all of our phases have done pretty good. I think our special teams on Saturday were the best they've ever been. Offense was on point. We gave up, some cheap plays there defensively, but our defense got, when you think about the turnovers they created, I mean, what do we have? I think we had 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions, and we caused a fumble. That's incredible. So we're doing some things that are really, really good. And we've got some really great effort from our team right now.
Thanks, Shawn.
Thank you.
We'll go over to Shawn.
Coach, you've got some time, obviously, but what have you seen from App State as you head into that next game, and what will your team have to do well to be successful against them?
I haven't seen a single thing from App State. Just because you got a little bit of extra time, that's always a problem for me because I start creating more things that just confuses our team. When I would rather it be condensed. But yeah, when I have more time, I go in there, let's run this play, let's run that play, when we need to just simplify things and do it. But now anytime you go up to Appalachian State facing that team, and it's tough. It's a tough environment. They've got tough players. They work hard. Everyone knows about their football program, the tradition they have, and they're continuously doing it each and every week. They fell kind of hard probably this past week, a little surprising to most, but when we roll up there, I know what App State team's going to be up there.
your team and your players are among some of the best in FBS in terms of turnovers, interceptions, those kinds of things. How has that really helped power your team and help get the ball back and spark your offense?
Yes. Well, one of the things, and this is really true when I say this, when you're out recruiting, you got to look for guys that create turnovers. And Tavius Lane for us is a turnover machine. I mean, he causes them. He's making interceptions, and that's something you saw on film straight from the high school. And they just have a knack for creating that. They have a knack for getting their hands on the ball, the picks, the fumbles, the calls fumbles. So that's real important. There's one thing to go play the game defensively, but can you play the game defensively and then also create the turnovers? I mean, that's something that's now being taught more in this game, this day and age than ever before. The punch the ball, the strip the ball, let's go after the ball. The ball, we all understand the ball is the most important thing in this game. Everybody used to say it was the blocking and tackling. Now you get that ball out, that's what everybody's striving to have. And then you can take advantage of it offensively.
Brady, you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I was just going to ask kind of on that same point. Do you think some of that, you've got some experienced guys and, guys like Quay and John Trey were some of the ones making plays on Saturday. Do you think some of just the guys who have played a lot of football or that experience is showing on the defense with that?
Well, when you have experienced players, that experience puts you in position to make those plays. Early on, if you're a secondary guy, you're probably playing catch up in some of those areas. You don't know exactly what position you might need to be in this specific coverage or how to undercut a route. Yeah, the more you play this game, the more you do anything in your life, you're going to become better at it. And we've got some experience, and that's why they're taking advantage of it.
Yes, good morning. Obviously played a quality opponent, a very good football team in one of the upper echelon programs in our conference. I thought our players showed some resolve, some resiliency. Twice, two separate occasions in the fourth quarter, we got it to a one-score game. But when you're playing a quality opponent like James Madison, you have to play winning football and everything. And we didn't do a good job of particularly managing critical downs. We were very poor on third down conversions. They forced us to kick field goals as opposed to scoring touchdowns in the red area. We had a catastrophic turnover at the end. We didn't generate any turnovers on defense. I thought our kids did a good job in terms of penalties and 0 penalties. First time that's been done in a number of years. But at the end of the day, the critical factors of winning games, we gave up way too many explosive plays, particularly in the fourth quarter. I believe we gave up 6 or 7 just in the fourth quarter. You can't do that. So explosive plays, lost the turnover margin, red zone efficiency, and then the other critical statistic that goes into winning and losing that has a direct correlation to that is missed tackles. We had way too many missed tackles, but another opportunity to grow and develop our football team. I want to put this on everyone's radar. And, I think we've done a great job for college football of everyone talks about the welfare and the welfare and taking care of our players and making sure that safety measures are taken in place. We've done a really good job in terms of training camp, the different things of when you can hit full pads. So the welfare and well-being of the student athlete, I think, is really done a great job of being addressed. But I think the one thing that continues to be missed upon taking care of our student athletes are the bye weeks. And to ask a young football team that are going through exams, learning experience of college student athletes, and to have to go through the rigors of playing in one of the best football conferences in America in the Sun Belt, having 9 straight games, I think that puts your program at an extreme disadvantage. And I think that also, puts their safety in jeopardy at times too. So I think as we continue to relook at our entire institution of college football, I think we also need to look at the welfare of the student athlete when it comes to in season in terms of bye weeks as well.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, you talked about turnover margin. The Sun Belt has something like 8 teams in the top 30 nationally in turnover margin. In this league in particular, how important is the turnover game and ball security?
Absolutely critical. If you look at really the two most important measuring instruments or examples of winning and losing football games, first and foremost is turnover margin, and the second is explosive plays. And I think the more and more as we go, I think the Sun Belt is gaining more and more recognition, in which they should on a national level, in terms of the competitive nature of this league. I think what we're finding out is anybody's capable of beating anybody each and every week. And the quality of teams in this conference, I think the investments that our institutions are making towards our football programs and athletics in general, week in and week out. And that's what we talk to our players about, is the mental and effort and intensity that it takes to compete in our conference week in and week out is nothing different than the SEC. The parity, the quality of players, coaches in this conference is building itself to where it's becoming in the conversation piece across the country and can stack up with any conference in America.
Johnny Lang for you continues to be one of the nation's leaders in all-purpose yards. How much does he mean to your team? And, especially those plays on special teams, how much does that kind of ignite your team?
Well, it does ignite our team, and Johnny's a big component of our football team, not only on the field, but off the field. Been really proud of him. He has his degree. He's one of our leaders on the field, off the field. He's growing into that role, and he has the respect of our players. And not having his services available for an extended period of time Saturday night, I thought really hurt us. It hurt us in terms of not only at the running back position, but you just mentioned the return game and our special teams.
Looking ahead to Southern Miss, what have you seen from them this season, and what will you have to do well to be successful?
Well, again, it's another great challenge of going on the road in this conference. Defensively, they run to the ball. They give you some different looks that take away a lot of things that you can do schematically. Their style of play, their effort, their toughness, the ability to get off blocks. And again, they challenge you schematically. And then offensively, they have playmakers. They can score anytime. And as we all know, explosive plays has been kind of our Achilles heel this season. So again, great challenge. And then they're very, very good on special teams as well. So again, it's a typical Sun Belt team, and you got to go on the road and play. So it's going to be a great challenge for us.
Yeah. Able to have a great bye week, get some recruiting done. Also, to get some of our guys back healthy and ready to go and get some good work for our young guys. So excited about our challenge against Coastal Carolina.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start with Alan Blondin. Please go ahead, Alan.
Hey, Coach, you've only had one game in the Sun Belt so far. But what are your impressions of the conference, and maybe even comparing it to what you had in the past few years in Conference USA?
Yeah, this conference is, it's incredibly challenging. The level of talent that is available each and every week, the type of coaching that's going on, recruiting, that sort of thing. This is you're going to have to find me or show me the conferences that are better than this. This is something that I think is going to be a great challenge for every single team in the entire conference. There's no off weeks. There's every single game you go into is going to be a battle.
All right, thank you, Alan. We'll go to Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Coach, with the 6-0 Coastal Carolina team coming up, what have you seen from them on film, and what will your team need to do to be successful?
Well, obviously they have great coach. Coach Chadwell has done a great job of building that program up here and those sort of things. And, I think that this year they've done a particularly great job of turnover margin. They lead the country in turnover margin. They've created a bunch of turnovers through effort and things like that. But they've also done an unbelievable job of protecting the football, which I think has been equally as critical. So, they've got a great quarterback, great running game. I think their offensive line is probably underrated. I think they've done a tremendous job of protecting the quarterback, but also creating space in that running game.
They've got speed at receiver. And then on defense, they play really, really hard. And they get to the football, play hard, play fast. And so, just, kind of impressed with them all the way around.
You've talked about turnover margin, and the Sun Belt has something like 8 teams in the top 30 nationally in terms of turnover margin. How important, particularly in this conference, from what you've seen, is turnover margin and, ball security against the teams in this conference?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it's critical everywhere in the country, but the way that the defenses in this conference, create indecision and also get to the football with bad intentions, and then how hard the defenses play in this league, where they're running around and getting a lot of these fumbles are maybe not created by the defense, but they're right there to pick up on those opportunities. That's effort, and that's coaching, that's effort, that's building a culture within the program. And I think the coaches in this conference do a fantastic job of doing that.
And Ali Jennings continues to be one of the top players nationally in a number of statistical categories. What, can you talk about just what he means to your program overall?
Ali's been a guy who's been, really since the second half of last year into this year, he's been very consistent for us on making big plays. Not only is he, making the third down catches for us, for 6, 7, 8 yards, but he's been able to produce those big, giant, explosive plays for us that we know are critical. So, he's been a guy we've been able to depend on. We need to continue to find, more people so that we can be more consistent across the board.
Back over to Alan. Alan?
Hey, Coach, just coming off a bye week, a lot of times you'll get some key guys back, or are there any key players that you expect to return from injury, or are you still without any key guys?
We're still looking at getting some guys back. I don't think you really know some of these guys. We probably won't know until right up until kickoff. So I think it's something our trainer Justin Walker does a fantastic job. Our guys really believe in getting ready to go. Our strength staff does a great job of getting these guys back as well. So some of these guys we probably won't know until right at kickoff. So, that's one of those things where that's why, we have to have rules built in our schemes so that those guys can play if they need to. So that, I think that's a critical part to coaching nowadays, is being able to make sure that you can get guys who maybe don't get all the practice reps that they need each and every week. They still got to be able to go and produce.
Yeah, obviously really good week this past week, really good opportunity for us to look at things that we need to do to improve as a program and organization on and off the field. Got an opportunity to do a deep dive in all facets: offense, defense, special teams, recruiting, operations, strength and conditioning, the whole gamut. Really look at some things that we can do in the short term and the long term to improve our program. With that, leading up to a unbelievable contest this weekend, first Sun Belt home conference opener for us here at the Joan against a phenomenal football program, the defending Sun Belt champions. Coach D and his staff have done a phenomenal job. It'll be the toughest game of the year for us up to this point. Very good team on both sides of the ball. Look forward to a really good night Wednesday night.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Matt. Matt, please go ahead.
Coach, you talked about the bye week. You talked about the first Sun Belt home game for you guys. The freshness of your team and that momentum of that first Sun Belt game. What's the mindset of your team heading into Wednesday night?
We feel good. I mean, we feel good every week. We talk about, having a 1 week season every week. And focusing on the things that we need to do to be able to play well on game day. No disrespect to any other opponent. This is the biggest game on our schedule because it's the next game and we have to prepare like that. I know it sounds like coach talk, but you get 12 opportunities at this. So for you not to be excited, about an opportunity to play the defending conference champions at home on a Wednesday night on ESPN in front of your home crowd, I don't know why you play the game. Obviously, it's going to be a tremendous challenge, but we have to do the best we can to put the best plan together from a coaching perspective and go out and execute on game day.
All right, thank you, Matt. We'll go over to Luke Creasy. Luke.
Hey, Coach, you've had some time to look at Louisiana. What stands out to you about them on film?
Everything. You don't win a championship by mistake, and I don't care what sports you're playing. There's a thing called championship DNA that you have in your program and in your organization, and they have it. You watch them play on defense. They're extremely physical. They're fast. They're big up front. They do a good job on the back end. Their linebackers are instinctive. Offensively, they do a really good job running the football. They've got some receivers who can get open. They've got a quarterback who understands the system. Special teams wise, they got one of the best punt returners in the league, if not the best. I'm not sure where he's ranked, but when you watch the film, he's really good. And they got a coaching staff that's won. This is what getting into this conference, at the beginning of the year, I talked about. This is a real conference with really good coaches, really good players, really good teams. What we've got to do is we've got to be able to allow our competitive maturity to help us get better each week. Looking at the things that we need to focus on. The opponent's the opponent. They're going to be here Wednesday. They're going to show up. They're going to play really well. We need to focus on what we can do to play better, each quarter, to play better each drive, to play better each play. And then at the end of the day, we see where we are.
Thank you, Luke. We'll go over to Shawn.
Coach, are there things that you're able to take from your recent bowl game with Louisiana that'll be helpful in preparation for you this week?
Yeah, I think, from a coaching perspective, you can always go back and look at some of the things, that they did. I mean, they're running a similar system. They have a new defensive coordinator, obviously a new head coach, but some of the things are similar. You don't really take that for, what it is. That was a different time. I think from the players' perspective, they can take the experience of the game, the physicality, the effort, the toughness that they played with, because that's something that's in their championship DNA. But again, I think you got to really look at where each team is now. We're a different team than we were in the bowl game. They're a different team than they were in the bowl game. So I think there's some things that you can look at and kind of use as information as a part of your plan or a part of your preparation.
Henry has really made such an impact on your team. How do you assess his play as you head into this game?
Yeah, I thought Henry and I have talked, and part of the improvement is how can your quarterback play better? I think you look around college football, when the starting quarterback is playing well, teams play well. When the starting quarterback is not playing well or they're out, teams struggle a little bit. Looking back at Henry's first part of the season, I thought he did some things in the first couple of games that were really experience savvy. When you're a 6-year senior, you're an experienced guy. There's some things that you assume come along with the experience. He did some of those things. And then as a game, a couple games into the season, there were some areas where he didn't make those decisions or he didn't make those choices. So we've got to get back to him making those decisions, which allows our offense to play with a little more rhythm, a little more tempo. Overall, I think he's done a really good job. Are there 4 or 5 plays that we'd love to have back? Yeah. Are there 4 or 5 plays that we could point at that he did some really good things? Yes. So we got to get him back to playing, not only with the talent, the experience, the level of ability, the throwing, the run, all of those things are great. We just got to get him back to playing, kind of how he was the first couple of games of the season, eliminate some of the mistakes that he's made in the last couple of games. And I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. Obviously, coming off of a bye week this week, it's really been a good opportunity for us. You think about the timing of bye weeks are really important as you navigate a season, and you hope those things kind of time up well with when you need them. And you look at our team, we after 5 games, we played really physical as a football team. And when you play as physical as we play, you're going to have some bangs and bruises and some things that guys are going to have to get back from. And so I thought this was a really good week of recovery for some of our guys. Other guys, right, that we're trying to get more involved and maybe special teams, a young player, or add depth to our defense or offense, whatever it may be, we really push some guys. And so, we talk about recovery is a great tool, but all it is an opportunity. You have to take advantage of that opportunity of recovery in the next week, particularly in practice. And that can't be You can't show up on Saturday and just expect to say, oh, now I feel good after 2 weeks break. You got to make sure that you're maximizing your opportunities, and the standard and process that have got us to this point has to continue and has to rise. Great teams get better, or they don't stay great teams for very long. And so that certainly is going to be the challenge for us moving forward.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We'll go to Shawn.
Coach, you've got a ULM team that beat Louisiana, played Coastal close. What have you seen from them, and what will you need to do to be successful?
Well, I've really been impressed with what Terry has done over the last 2 years. I think he's got a team that really fights. They've got great energy on their sideline. You watch the competition level when games get tight. I think that they play really hard. I think they play with some great confidence, and you've seen that play out well in games like Louisiana. And then obviously, you've seen some games where they've come up just a little bit short because of some missed execution or missed opportunities, but they're really, really close to executing at a high level and seeing more success in the win column than maybe what their record may show at this point. I think Chandler, their quarterback, has really done a nice job of just managing their offense. I mean, the other night he was 27 of 30 at one point. He was was throwing basically a no-hitter, however you want to say that. I thought he did a really tremendous job of just taking what was given. I think he's starting to read and understand coverage at a higher level than even where he was a year ago. And obviously a year ago against us, I thought he did some tremendous things. And then certainly, the concern is what he's able to do with his feet. I thought, when they do get in some 3rd and long scenarios, he's able to extend drives and create some plays for them. And those are things that we're going to have to make sure that we limit, both explosive plays and get off the field on 3rd downs. And then you look at their defense. Obviously, anybody that's been in this league has tremendous respect for Vic Koenig and what he's been able to accomplish during his time at Troy and those great defenses that they had. You see some of the things the challenges that their defense presents schematically. I think they do some really challenging things in the run game. A lot of movement, a lot of penetration, and moving in and out of gaps, and they present a lot of different looks. I think, for the most part, they're executing that well. They've been a little inconsistent at times, and I think that's really what's cost them to where their scoring defense is probably not where they want it to be, but they're not far off at all. I mean, you're talking just a couple plays here and there that make the difference in this being a very potent football team that I think presents a lot of challenges. And so we got to rise to the level of that standard and certainly, play to the standard that we know that we're capable of.
In the Sun Belt, you have something like 8 of the Sun Belt teams in the top 30 nationally in terms of turnover margin. In this conference in particular, how important is turnover margin and ball security to being successful?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this before, but our unit identities on offense and defense are reflective of how important creating takeaways on defense, and then obviously ball security on offense. This defense, we've always, going back to the years that my dad had as a defensive coordinator in the SEC, and even back in the Southern Miss days when they had those great defenses, they were always able to create takeaways. And we were top 10 in the country year in and year out. We've continued that trend for almost 30 years now. And then from an offensive standpoint, Major Applewhite, one of our keys, our unit identities are to win the double positives. And that means to win the explosive play battle and to win the turnover margin. And he did a study years ago when he was a graduate assistant at Texas, looking at their on-field success. And it was almost, I think, some like 88-1 or something like that over a multi-year span of when they won the double positives, when they created explosive plays and took care of the ball. They won the football game. And so it's a great indicator of how we have to play and what we have to do in each side of the ball respectively.
And can you speak to Colin Lacey and what he means to your team?
I tell you what, I am really proud of Colin Lacey, and just to see the growth, as a young man that played during the COVID year, the year before we got here, really took ownership and trying to learn some of our schemes and what we're doing, both not only on offense, but some of the things that we expect from him from a special team standpoint, and particularly in the return game and some of the value that he can create with his athleticism and explosiveness. But I think he's just playing with a different level of confidence right now. He understands what to do. He knows it so well that he's playing at a very fast rate and a very high tempo. And when he gets the ball in his hand, he expects to create big plays both on offense and in our return games. And those are things that are really exciting to see, the growth of a young man like that.
Yes. Boy, coming off a tough loss to Coastal Carolina, my hat's off to them. They got their 6th win. You can see why they're undefeated. My thoughts after the game are they play like a team that's 6-0, and we play like a team that wants to be 6-0. Our kids, by that I mean we fought hard, played hard, took it down to the 4th quarter, did not do the things that an undefeated team, a team that's won a lot of ball games, likes to do. I would say our goal was to get them into the 4th quarter, but the bad thing about Coastal, that's their best football played in the 4th quarter, and that's what a good team does. All that being said, all you got to look at what happened. 3 times we're inside the 15. We go down to the 1st and 1 on the 1 with a score 28-21. We're 1st and 1 on the 1. We have a 5-yard penalty. We don't get in on downs. We're on the 13-yard line, 1st and 10. We fumble, don't get in. We're all got a 4th and 2 with 4 minutes left on the 13-yard line. We don't get in. We don't make it. And then on the 3rd and 1, we make the 1st down and we fumble. That's 4 times that we don't take advantage of an opportunity. And they just did what a good team does. They played like a winning football team. All that being said, we're getting closer. I'm proud of our football team. There are no more moral victories. We're beyond that. We're now trying to play people that are contenders for the conference and find a way to compete with them, because we weren't always that way in the past, and we're getting close. When you look at our roster, Chandler Rogers, 27-31. I thought he was 27-30, but they had him 27-31, about 87%, no interceptions, 2 touchdowns. Phenomenal night. He set a record, I think, counting the week before in straight completions for our program. Zach Woodard, middle linebacker, 10 tackles, did a great job there. Again, we did a lot of things right, except we didn't do enough things to beat a team like Coastal. So we got to go back to the drawing board and play a team that's on fire, playing great football. South Alabama is one of the hottest teams in the conference, and they will be a everybody's a challenge for us. But like I said, we're just going to be the best we can be. We know where we want to go, and we do know that we're getting there. We played a tough schedule so far, and it doesn't get any tougher. But I told our team, you take Texas and Alabama away, we're 2-2 against everybody else, and we got to keep on going and take our games one game at a time. Any questions?
Hey, Coach. First questions come from Shawn. Shawn, please go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned Chandler and the records he set and the success he had. What has he meant to your program and to his teammates?
Well, Chandler gives us a quarterback that we feel we can be successful in this conference with. He's got 2 more years after this year. And we feel like we got a guy that if we can surround him with good, solid people, he's the type of quarterback that can lead us to a conference championship. Now, we're not in a conference championship level right now. We need a little piece here, a little piece there. But we do feel like he has the throwing skills, the running skills, and the quarterback IQ to be a successful quarterback in this conference. So he's very steady. Now we fumbled an exchange with our quarterback and our running back, and neither of them blame the other, but we've got to correct that. But he does the things that he needs to do, and I think he's a very poised, calm, not too much high, not too low lows. But I think the biggest thing is when you're building a football program, or it starts with a quarterback position. No matter who you play for, you got to have one that can handle that position, and he does that for us.
What have you seen on film from South Alabama, and what do you need to do well against them to be successful?
You got to score in the 30s. You got to hold them to the 20. You got to play your best football if you're ULM. We beat them last year, and they made some mistakes, but we beat them at our place. But they look like the most improved team in the conference as far as from last year to this year. They're playing great defense. They're explosive on offense. They've got some playmakers returning punts, kickoffs. They've just done a great job. It's the old year 1 to year 2 thing. A head coach comes in from year 1 to year 2. You see the most progress. And I think you're seeing their kids have now bought in. I think, like I say, the most improved team. And I'm not sure they're not and I would say they are very much a contender to win this West. If you're going to beat them, I think South Alabama right now, I don't see anybody on the eastern side of the division any better than South Alabama.
How have you seen at this point now your tough schedule with Alabama and with Texas? How have you seen that start to pay off in terms of your team's growth?
That's that it pays off by paying off. I can't give you a lot of reasons why playing Alabama, Texas earlier. If you don't get anybody hurt and you play your best football and you either stay close enough to be in the game or you're able to put some subs in if they get ahead and get a little more work with your backups. The biggest thing is we had big paydays and we didn't get hurt doing it too much. But again, when you play those kind of schedules, and again, followed by the defending champion Lafayette, followed by at home by Coastal Carolina, that's 6-0, that was 5-0 coming in. Everybody's playing pretty well. I think you can at least know that, men, you're not going to play anybody on your schedule better than what you've already played. Now, that doesn't mean that I can compare them to Alabama and get away with that comment. But the fact is, we have gone through the very toughest teams we're going to play. Now we may still have to play the toughest teams in our conference, but we know that we've lined up and seen what it takes to play against the very best. And so I do know this: our guys have played and won against in the fourth quarter against Lafayette. I think until the kick return for a touchdown against Arkansas State, we were still fighting back and being in that game on the road. In Coastal Carolina, like I said, we're 3 times inside the 15 in the fourth quarter and don't score, and or we got a chance in that game as well. So I think our players have bought in. We just need to be a better football team, and that's just coaches may want better players, players may want better play calling. I'm just saying, hey, let's be better at executing what we already have, executing with our players, executing our plays, and we'll get better there. And I think that's the key right now. When I say we want to be a 6-0, but we don't quite play like a 6-0, a lot of that is just complete, total buy-in. You take our football team, our offensive and defensive players on both sides of the ball are now seeing their third coordinator in 3 years. I watch Coastal Carolina, how polished they are in difficult situations. And I think of how many repetitions those players have had with the same coaches coaching their position the same way. And there's a lot to be said about continuity and consistency. And right now we're still moving forward. I love my players. I love my coaches. And I've done this enough to know that we've got everything moving like we want to. But buddy, every week is just a battle to try to play somebody that is probably a little favored.